Hi everyone, I'm Lauren, the current marketing associate at The Liz, and today we're doing part 2 of our Sprint Studio graduate feature video series. I'm joined by Ken Murphy, the CEO and founder of Iris. We're going to be chatting about the inspiration behind Iris, how Ken discovered Sprint Studio, and his thoughts on the program. Let's get into it. Hi Ken, how are you doing today?
I'm good, Lauren. Thanks. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So, can you please introduce yourself and your company?
Sure. My name is Ken Murphy, and I'm the founder and CEO of Iris. And Iris stands for Insolvency and Restructuring Intelligence Search.
Great. So, what was the inspiration behind Iris?
So I've been involved in product development in the legal industry for most of my career, and part of that for dealing with bankruptcy and insolvency professionals. So a few years ago, I held a design thinking exercise with some industry leaders in the field. And that was kind of the real genesis of what eventually became Iris. But it all got started with this customer discovery forum and sort of around kind of an idea that I had sort of been playing around with, but I didn't really know where to get started or anything like that. So that's kind of where it got started there.
Nice. And did you have any background in the legal tech industry?
Yes. So, like I said, I've been working in product development at Thomson Reuters Canada for almost 19 years now in the legal industry. So that includes development, enhancement of many of the main research technology tools that lawyers use every day, like certain parts of Westlaw, for example. And so that design thinking exercise that I mentioned that eventually spawned what became Iris came out of my work with Thomson Reuters.
How did you first hear about Sprint Studio, and what about the program caught your attention?
So I had obviously heard of the Legal Innovation Zone. And when I was just getting started with Iris, I reached out to see if it would be something that would be a good fit for me. And this was back in early 2019. So I wasn't very far along yet, and it was still too early for me to become part of the zone, but it was still a good introduction to what the benefits were and things. And later on, when the pandemic hit, I reached out again, and it was suggested that the Sprint Studio would be kind of the perfect platform for a business at the stage where I was, which is pre-revenue, but I still had a pretty clear idea by that point of the product, my customers, and everything. I was just sort of getting along the stages of building it.
So, what were you hoping to get out of Sprint Studio?
It's difficult to say if there's any one thing. It was just sort of I was in the right sweet spot between trying to find the product market fit and an actual product, and sort of being a team of two. Trying to get a business off the ground is difficult enough. So any extra support I can get, I always figured I should just kind of go for it, and thankfully I did. I just wanted to be open to whatever they were going to be teaching. Obviously, there's a pretty intense agenda for each week, which all of that information is always going to be very valuable. So I thought then any resources they could help me with, I would be open for.
Fantastic. Which session was your favorite and why?
There were a couple of sessions that I think stood out. One was the session with Theory and Principle, where we fleshed out the MVP and created feature lists. So this is very helpful in really narrowing down the work that you have to focus on just to launch the MVP. And you kind of have grand visions of this great product in your head, but some of those features just have to wait as a practical matter. So it was a good exercise in being disciplined and keeping things small enough and realistic enough to launch a product. And then the other session was on VC funding, and that was an interesting discussion on what the VC funding really is and how most startups aren't really venture worthy, even if they're a good business idea. They might not and shouldn't be necessarily venture scale. So that was a very interesting session. The best ones I think were the ones with a lot of interaction with some breakouts and things like that.
Great to hear. So, how has Sprint Studio helped you develop and advance your company?
So it definitely helped with the feature list on defining exactly what the MVP should be. I already knew who my customers were and what the market is, and the business strategy I'd pretty much laid out. But it really helped make some decisions on where to focus my efforts and be strict about what is in and what is out and is going to have to wait, and not let that scope creep enter into things. So we're really close now to launching our MVP, and it will look pretty much how I defined it back during the Sprint Studio.
That's great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So final question, what application tips do you have for any aspiring entrepreneurs who want to join Sprint Studio?
I would say you don't have to have everything figured out, obviously, but you should have at least something beyond just the idea and the business name. You should know what the problem is that you're trying to solve, or have some concept of the customers and things like that, just so that you're not going in completely blind. But also have open questions about some things that you really could use some advice on, and whether it's how to talk to customers or finding tech resources or marketing or anything like that, so that you can offer something, but also have, there's a lot of things that you don't know that you can learn.
Those are great tips. Thank you. So that was all I have for you today. Thank you so much for joining us, Ken.
No, thank you.
Those were great answers. Thank you so much, Ken, for sitting down with me today, and be sure to follow both Ken and Iris on LinkedIn. You can apply for Sprint Studio using this link or the link in our bio or in the description. Applications close September 10th, so be sure to apply soon. Bye!